Do you still have a day job? Track by track for the day job. Track 6. Title track. So this one came about very early morning. I was down here. I was playing the acoustic guitar and just watching a movie. And this pattern, the entire boom, boom, bo-doo-doo, I was just playing that. I just went from the couch over here, recorded that acoustic guitar on this microphone. This is the acoustic guitar. The guitar was a gift. It was given during a time when I was not writing, was not playing music, and I think it was meant to be a catalyst to hopefully, get me tinkering again. And it worked eventually, but it took a couple of years. So both guitars, gifts from somebody very special. So I came over here, recorded that pretty quickly, started putting everything else to it. Basic drum pattern, some keyboards. I'm sure that I over padded it and those had to be removed. So initially it was supposed to be fleshed out into an entire song. And I actually had a rap verse that I've been working on that you'll never hear. I know I've been playing some demos, but I'm not gonna do that one. And at some point when we had that conversation with Dave and I were talking about project management, and then the album became The Day Job, it made more sense for this to become an intro. But it didn't have any reference of the day job. So I didn't say it's the day job, and at the end I didn't say don't quit your day job. But the essence was there. It was always been working so hard. All those lyrics were primarily there. But the interesting thing is I was initially singing this from the perspective of sort of the boss person. And I had let a friend hear this, Ian from the band Head Start that I was in for quite a long time. So he had said, wow, interesting take there, interesting message you're delivering. And I realized, oh no, he doesn't get that I'm singing it from the perspective of the boss person. He thinks that I'm just being a jerk. So I switched the entire perspective so that wouldn't be a mix-up that I had to explain overtly constantly. Then, during the course of sequencing the record, I actually had this right at the top. Well, David actually said, I hate that at the beginning because it's really hard to follow something that slow. And we wanted project management to be there as sort of the first proper track. But it sounded too fast. It kind of messed with the perception of the tempo. So then it made sense to sort of drop it in the middle. So I tucked that in the middle. Then, unfortunately for me, I get a little bit obsessed with things like that. So when I got into interlude mode, at one point, there were sequences of The Day Job where there was an interlude in between almost every song. And again, David's sort of given some advice. That's just too much. Just, get people track to track. But that is me. Thus, my latest fancy of a type of song that I'm working on can quickly turn into an album of songs, for better or for worse. It doesn't mean the content's all great, and I can waste a lot of time. So as far as the mix process, this was, again, one afternoon. I think I was at work. Dave was working on mixing this. I came by the studio. He had added some of those bells and whistles. And then interestingly, there was no bass on this song ever until the 11th hour. Dave had sort of was saying boom, 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 boom. And so I grabbed the bass right there, tracked that bass instantly, sort of playing what he was singing out. And that became the entire track of The Day Job. So who knows, maybe someday I will revive the initial intended 3-4 minute long song. But for now, I'm just going to leave it in the archives. There's plenty of other music on the way, plenty of other things being worked on. So that's The Day Job, the title track, the interlude, the sole interlude on the album. But thanks for listening. Bye.
Don't quit your day job.